What's going on, beautiful and exotic women of the world? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be discussing why beautiful and exotic women are pressured into shrinking themselves down and the effects that it has on your long-term mental health and your confidence. It is very detrimental to anyone to feel the need to show up in the world in an artificial way to please others. When you try to live for other people, you will be miserable because people will constantly move the goalpost. They'll change their beliefs, they'll change their values. When you meet a certain expectation, they'll change it to something else. So people can't be pleased. The only person that can be pleased is the Most High. So we cannot live for other people and what they desire from us because we would be constantly morphing into something that we aren't to appease others. And I don't know about you, but I don't live to please man, I live to please God. So I'm not going to shrink myself down in any space to make anyone comfortable. I don't care how many times I'm met with passive aggressiveness. I don't care how many times I'm met with opposition and people trying to tell me about myself in professional or kind ways. I don't care. And when I think about this phenomenon, I think about work, I think about church, I think about school, I think about family gatherings. I have experienced it in all areas. I first want to start with church. If you aren't living under a rock and if you have sense, you understand that the church can be a breeding ground for a lot of low vibrational energy vampires, narcissists, sociopaths, just people who are there to get their needs met and really aren't there to feed their soul or to hear the word of God. So it's a very corrupted place, and a lot of people hide behind this Christian or, oh, I go to church mask, but in reality, they are the devil's spawn. So anyways, when I used to go to church when I was younger, I was around maybe in my teens, so early teens. I would always get dressed up. I would always express myself through my clothes. That's always who I've been. But when I would go to church, I would always make sure that I dressed cute but appropriate. My mother wouldn't let me leave the house if I was wearing something inappropriate. So that just to give you guys context, that I always came to church dressed in something tasteful. But for whatever reason, one of the days that I had gone to church, one of the women in my church had pulled me aside and said, that skirt is too short. Mind you, the skirt was right at my knees, like probably a little bit above my knees, but right at my knees. And to give you guys context as well, I was a very skinny child my whole life, like skinny like a twig, straight up and down on both sides of my body. And I didn't have anything for anyone to be looking at or be distracted by, but this woman tried to tell me that my dress, well, my skirt and what I was wearing was a distraction. And the term they used at my church to depict what happens when men are tempted is struggle. So the woman literally told me that what I had on would make men struggle, and you don't want the brothers at church to struggle. Looking back, I realized that a lot of women in the church are insecure. Let's keep it 1,000. A lot of these old hens at church look at younger girls as threats, and they look at younger girls as what their husbands could potentially be lusting over. And so even if you are dressed in the most feminine, cute, appropriate outfit for church, if they feel you're drawing attention or if you look really pretty, their insecurities will show and they will absolutely try to come for you. And we can talk about the very common situations that happen when you're at school and you may enjoy bright colors, or you may like your hair a certain way, and you may be super confident when you walk in a room and you draw attention and you pull focus and people are admiring you but also hating you. You will be met with people who will say things and do things because you make them uncomfortable with your light and with how brightly you shine and with how you stand out. I remember when I was in middle school, my middle school bully and her group of friends used to cough while I was talking. That was one of their favorite passive aggressive things to do that would allow them to kind of fly under the radar so the teacher couldn't pinpoint what was going on. But of course I knew. But basically, whenever I would talk and I would raise my hand and answer a question, they would cough and clear their throat over me. And then I would see them look at me and like giggle and smirk. People do little things like that to discourage you from speaking, because you speaking, let's say you're intelligent like me. When I was in school, I was a A and B student. So I was good at school, and I was smart, and I wasn't afraid to show that I was smart. But these girls were in the streets after school. They were on birth control, just to give you guys context, okay? They were sexually active in middle school. Meanwhile, me, I was very innocent. I went home right after school or to after school. I was sheltered and caged, and I was smart. I was in my books. And so, that contrast alone would make anyone insecure who's not being a child and staying in a child's place. So, of course, when I would speak because I did my homework yesterday or I actually pay attention in class, they were coughing over me to make me think that I was cringe or, what I was saying didn't matter. And if I was weak willed, I would have allowed that to stop me from participating in class and from being present. I don't let people's passive aggressiveness stop anything. I would note that they were doing it, but I wouldn't let it stop me, and I would continue along with my business and what I was doing. And I remember there was a time in high school where I had posted a picture to my Facebook where I was dressed in my leotard and tights because I danced for a lot of my life. And so I remember I posted it on Facebook. This was when Facebook was really big and popping for like the younger generation. And it was on the weekend on a Saturday. And I was on my way to dance class, and I came back to school Monday, and the girl who I considered my best friend told me that the whole school was talking about my picture and how I looked like a slut and how I should take it down because everyone's talking about it. And that's what she kept emphasizing. She kept saying, everyone's talking about your picture. Everyone's talking about your picture. And come to find out, it was just her and this gay boy that didn't like me who were talking about the picture. And he admitted and said, like, no one's talking about you. It was just me and her. Like, we just saw it and we had our feelings about it. And so I immediately pressed her about it. Immediately. I immediately went to her and was like, why would you tell me, your best friend, that everyone in the school is talking about my picture and how it's trashy and how I should take it down because everyone's talking about me? And she literally couldn't answer. She looked so stuck. She looked so like embarrassed, and like when you catch a kid lying or when you catch somebody doing something they're not supposed to do, that stupid look on their face, that's exactly how she looked, and she couldn't answer me. And the friendship was over from there. But I just remember that whole friendship, it was like she was constantly trying to get me to dim my light. After school, it was me, her, and this other girl, and every time we would be out, she would always try to make me feel bad about myself. Every time I spoke, she would pick apart how I speak, she would pick apart how I walk, and try to make a mockery out of me, basically, and embarrass me in front of people. And so when the tables had turned and I confronted her about her lie, it was almost like seeing a baby in a teenager's body. She did not know how to look at me. She did not know how to speak to me. All of the audacity she had before was completely gone. She couldn't face me. And so the conclusion I came to regarding her was that her goal in our friendship was to just get me to not like myself and to dim my light so that she could feel better about herself. And the perfect example was her trying to get me to delete my picture because she was threatened by me in my cute little dance outfit. And it's like, people are sick in the head. People have too much time on their hands. They're bored and they're obsessed. And when you're beautiful and when you're exotic and when you stand out and you are unapologetically you, there are going to be people right, left, up, down, and center who want to get you to stop doing what you're doing and stop shining because it irritates their demons. So ladies, drop that in the comment section. Let me know if you've ever experienced being the target for someone trying to dim your light or someone trying to get you to stop being who you are to appease them. And I'll also be leaving my email in the description box so you can share any stories you have with me there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.